Welcome, Hammers fans! Today we'll take a closer look at what club legend Tony Cottee had to say about West Ham's current identity crisis and the shadow of Upton Park that still lingers. And then we'll talk about the big news Kieran McKenna. Since leaving Upton Park in 2016, West Ham United has been living with a dilemma that still echoes among its supporters, the feeling of lost identity. The old ground, cramped, noisy and intimidating, was seen as one of the club's symbols. There, West Ham built memorable stories such as promotion to the Premier League in 2012 and created a unique atmosphere that gave players the impression of starting every game with an invisible advantage. The move to the modern London Stadium, although offering more capacity and cutting-edge facilities, has never managed to recreate the same feeling. This frustration resurfaced in recent debates after comments by Tony Cottee, the club's former striker. In an interview, he described the London Stadium as a friendly, almost neutral environment in contrast to the hostile atmosphere Upton Park imposed on opponents. According to Cottee, the Hammers stepped onto the pitch already with the equivalent of 10 points of advantage per season, a result of the constant pressure from the crowd. That edge, in his view, disappeared with the move. The new stadium, originally built for the 2012 Olympic Games, impresses with its grandeur and comfort, but lacks the mystique that turned matches into emotional battles. Cottee's criticism is not limited to the stadium itself, but also points to the management of David Sullivan, one of the club's owners. He is seen by many as the main figure responsible for the decisions that led West Ham into this predicament. Sullivan had already been the target of discontent over controversial choices, such as not continuing with David Moyes after the 2023-24 season and the string of mistakes in recent transfer windows. The move to the London Stadium, however, is remembered as the biggest rupture of all, a strategic move that delivered neither the identity nor the sporting benefits expected. The impact of this decision is directly reflected in the matchday atmosphere. Instead of intimidation, opponents now find a comfortable stage without the same psychological weight that defined the old Upton Park. The contrast became even clearer in the recent defeat to Tottenham, when thousands of supporters left the stands before the final whistle. The gesture was interpreted as a clear message the fans' patience is at its limit, and the dissatisfaction is not only about performances on the pitch, but also about the administrative decisions that have shaped the club in recent years. This scenario suggests that West Ham needs a kind of reset. Sullivan's management, marked by ups and downs, may be nearing its end, and it would not be surprising if he left his position at the end of the season. At the same time, Graham Potter's continuation as head coach seems unsustainable, since the results do not match the investment and the expectations created. The possibility of both departing, the businessman and the manager, would symbolize the start of a deep rebuild in East London. The challenge, however, is broader than simply changing directors or coaches. The club needs to rediscover a clear identity. The London Stadium will not stop being the Hammers' home, but perhaps the path lies in transforming its neutrality into a fortress, creating new traditions and reinventing the way supporters connect with the space. It is not about trying to recreate Upton Park, as that is impossible, but about recognizing that the move has already happened and that the club must work to ensure the lost atmosphere is replaced by something equally powerful. Whether through smart signings or with a more engaging style of play, West Ham must give its fans reasons to embrace the present rather than mourn the past. The time of iconic figures such as Michael Antonio is already drawing to a close, and the current cycle calls for new protagonists. For that to happen, it is essential that the club's leadership makes the right choices, and above all, that they are able to listen to the supporters' feelings, who will no longer accept being pushed into the background. Tony Cottee's words, although harsh, reflect an uncomfortable reality. West Ham is experiencing an identity crisis that cannot be solved solely within the four lines. The team may even achieve occasional victories, but without an authentic connection between fan, squad and stadium, it will be difficult to build a consistent path. The moment calls for courage to correct the course, to restore the pride of being a Hammer, and to give the London Stadium the aura that Upton Park once delivered naturally. Otherwise, the risk is to continue piling up frustrations with a packed stadium but an empty soul. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. Kieran McKenna's presence in the West Ham director's box during the defeat to Tottenham did not go unnoticed and may mean far more than a simple courtesy visit. The Ipswich Town manager, only 38 years old, has drawn attention for his consistent and attacking work at a mid-sized club, bringing competitiveness back to a team that had been far from the spotlight for years. His figure now emerges as one of the main names speculated to take charge of the Hammers at a time when the pressure on Graham Potter grows week by week. The current context at the London Stadium is one of uncertainty and wear. The defeat in the derby against Tottenham only increased the frustration of the fans who were already impatient with inconsistent results and the absence of a clear identity on the pitch. Potter arrived at the club surrounded by expectation, carried by the reputation he built at Brighton, where his style of possession football and intelligent movement won widespread praise. However, in London, that model has never translated into concrete results. The squad looks stuck, unable to apply the ideas proposed by the coach, and the supporters' patience is running out fast. It is precisely in this scenario that McKenna's figure gains strength. Considered one of the most exciting prospects of the new generation of British coaches, he earned notoriety by transforming Ipswich into a competitive and engaging team. The 5-0 thrashing of Sheffield United is just one example of the impact he managed in a short time, combining attacking intensity with defensive solidity, exactly the elements West Ham currently lack. His presence in the box in such a symbolic match inevitably fuels speculation that negotiations are already underway, or at least that there is serious interest from the board in assessing his name as Potter's successor. Despite McKenna emerging as favourite, West Ham are also looking at alternatives in the market. One of the names mentioned is the experienced Jose Mourinho, who is reportedly willing to return to the Premier League. The Portuguese brings with him an enviable CV full of domestic and international titles, as well as a leadership style that often transforms the mentality of clubs. Even so, his demands regarding signings, infrastructure, and dressing room control may not align with the Hammers' current project. Betting on Mourinho will be seeking immediate impact, but with the risk of internal clashes and heavy financial commitments. Another name mentioned is Nuno Espirito Santo, who knows the league well and left his mark during the successful years with Wolverhampton. However, his recent turbulent spell at Nottingham Forest, which ended after clashes with owner Evangelos Marinakis, damaged his image. Although Nuno represents an experienced choice, he may not be the profile that excites a fan base calling for renewal and new ideas. Faced with these options, West Ham find themselves divided between backing a proven manager with a history of trophies or giving a vote of confidence to a young coach like McKenna, who symbolizes modernity and boldness. The choice will carry not only sporting weight but also political weight, since the fans demand clarity of direction and are tired of incoherent decisions. Alongside the speculation about the managerial position, a positive piece of news brought some relief to the club: the stay of Lucas Paqueta. The Brazilian midfielder, who'd been linked with Aston Villa and interest from Saudi Arabia, is said to have made clear his desire to remain in London. The decision ends speculation and ensures the Hammers keep one of their most creative and decisive players. For any coach, whether Potter, McKenna, or another name, Paqueta represents a central piece in the attacking build-up and a quality differential. According to Mick Brown, the club's former head of scouting, the Brazilian's commitment should be celebrated. Paqueta is one of the few players capable of swinging tough matches, and his choice to reject offers in the middle of a turbulent context shows loyalty to the project. That kind of dedication can be an important psychological factor to inspire the squad at a time when unity is essential. Thus, West Ham find themselves at a crossroads. McKenna's presence in the box signals that the board are already studying alternatives, and the pressure on Potter will hardly ease without a run of victories. At the same time, Paqueta's stay offers a solid foundation for any manager to try to restore competitiveness. The dilemma lies in deciding whether it is worth persisting with a project that has not taken off so far, or if it is time to take a bold leap with a new name at the helm. The Hammers' future will depend to a great extent on the courage of the board to make quick and strategic decisions. Choosing McKenna could represent the start of a new era marked by modernity and ambition. Opting for Mourinho would bring immediate impact and a winning discourse, but with short-term risks. Keeping Potter in charge would be a bet on patience and stability, something the fans, however, do not seem willing to accept for much longer. What is clear is that the margin for error has been drastically reduced. Any miscalculated decision could be costly not only in league points, but also in the trust of a fan base that demands more than promises. It demands results and identity. No fim das contas, in the end, what emerges is a West Ham divided between past, present, and future. On one side, the memory of Upton Park and Tony Cottee's criticism exposed the wound opened by the move to the London Stadium and by David Sullivan's decisions which distanced the club from part of its identity. On the other, the current reality shows a team without a clear direction, pressured by poor results and the growing dissatisfaction of its supporters. In this turbulent environment, speculation about the managerial position arises. Kieran McKenna's presence in the director's box was not a mere detail. It symbolizes the possibility of renewal and a bet on more modern ideas in contrast with Graham Potter's worn-out continuity. The interest in names such as Jose Mourinho and Nuno Espirito Santo shows that the board are still weighing different paths, oscillating between the security of a veteran and the boldness of a young talent. There is, however, a positive note amid the instability, the stay of Lucas Paqueta. The Brazilian chose to remain at the club even in the face of interest and offers ensuring the Hammers keep a creative piece fundamental to any manager who may take charge. His decision not only strengthens the quality of the squad, but also sends a message of loyalty at a time when many would rather abandon ship. Thus, West Ham arrives at a turning point. The past demands answers, the present requires change, and the future depends on the board's courage to set the right course. Amid management mistakes, an identity crisis, and speculation about a new manager, the only certainty is that the supporters' patience is running out quickly. The challenge now is to turn discontent into reconstruction before it is too late. And that's all for today's West Ham news. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with fellow fans. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Come on, you Irons! And that's all for today's West Ham news. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with fellow fans. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Come on, you Irons!